What is up, my dogs? It's your boy, Mike Mason. Yo, we're here for another special night together. So glad we have this time. We're going to be revisiting the Glasscraft and Bead Expo and peeping a really cool cold worked by hand crystal. So it's not like you need the faceting arm and all that. This type of thing can actually be done by hand, and Egg Glass did a really great job of demonstrating that, and that will have narration and everything, so we'll just be talking for a minute and then we'll kick that off. Let me take a second and introduce my lovely co-host, Carrie Strope up in this.
Hello, you everybody.
Yeah, looking very festive. Is it almost Christmas? Is that
Yes,
right?
I think it is. Yeah,
I
this
think it just might be.
Sunday is Christmas. Yeah,
Yeah. So
about time.
right. So yeah, guys, we'll be doing some fun giveaways here tonight after the demo, and yeah, and I just wanted to take a minute to chat on a couple of things before we get this party started. First of all, I wanted to talk about the Bead Expo itself because I know a lot of you guys may not have, have never attended this or whatever. And in the past, honestly, they had flame working classes, but it's getting like more and more Boro kind of pipe world oriented over the years. And this year, man, we could just really quickly kind of put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, see this.
Yeah, so let's this is like just an abbreviated part of the class list, and if you go to the Glasscraft and Bead Expo website, you can search this. There's like 300 something classes, you guys. Not just in flame working, but within flame working, you've got Sue Ellen Fowler, you've got glass chains, you've got, I know like 20 or 30,000 of you have watched the demo from this class with Josh Mazet. Look, man, I tried to tell y'all on Torch Talk that like these classes sell out quick. So yeah, like they just opened registration last week, and this one's already sold out. It's crazy. So yeah, if you guys see something that you're interested in, and it might behoove you to jump on it. Here's an amazing thing that we were talking about, I think, last time we were live. Intro to Stringer Tech with Shayla, aka Windstar Glass. Who y'all know out there because she's been so nice about letting me document her work over the years. And now you've got a chance to learn with her. Hick Dog is the teaching instructor. I mean, the search was acting a little funny right now, so I couldn't actually make his come up, and it was acting kind of slow. But anyways, he has a class of his own on assembly. The variety. Let's see if it'll cooperate with me here. Here we go.
Ooh,
James
look at
Lynch.
that.
There we go. Look at this. All right, there it is. Sculpture and assembly with Hick Dog. Absolutely awesome opportunity here. And like I said, though, there's like 300 other classes. I think you guys kind of get the idea. There's a million things to learn here with truly top-notch artists. I'll just talk more personally speaking. Like, I really love this event because it's at the South Point, which is literally just a bit south of the Strip. And everything there is like reasonably priced. Beer in the gift shop is like $9 a six pack, not like $19 or even worse at any of these hotels on the Strip. And don't get me wrong, I could do a whole special about how to get around that shit, and just Amazon Prime Now will deliver you food. There's all kinds of options to get around it, but like they all take time. You get into Vegas and like, when is the time to coordinate all that? We used to like be loading our Prime Now order like at the airport, and then we'd land and send it and then unpack our bags and run down to meet the guy and load our bags up with all the shit. And then we'd have our groceries for the week. But anyways, you don't really have to play any of those games at South Point. Like everything is reasonably priced. There's a bunch of like normal restaurants there that aren't,
Yeah, and the food's actually
gouging.
really good.
Yeah, there's
A
decent food
Mexican
there.
restaurant, Italian restaurant, a couple of steakhouses, prime ribs, a
Yeah,
buffet, and the sushi place.
sorry, I'll try and get you up here, Carrie, but you're just being blocked by the Glasscraft and Bead Expo stuff. But I swear, Carrie's still there.
I'm
And
here.
yo, but and like that's kind of a big deal. It's like on the Strip, nothing against it. We're gonna be right back there for Glass Vegas, having an amazing time. But The South Point is just so much more low key. They have a shuttle from the airport. You just have to call them anytime before the day of your flight. They'll still let you on if you're staying there. It's just first come, first serve on the shuttle. And sometimes it's
Yeah,
packed,
you don't want
sometimes
that to
there's
fill
like
up.
3 people. So, but anyways, I mean, that's like taxis from the thing, from the strip to the airport. That's like, now another tip for you guys out there. If you didn't already know this, Vegas taxi rates are like from the airport to the strip, they're like legally mandated or something. So if you get to the airport for like Las Vegas, for example, and you want to get to Bally's, never take an Uber. Uber is terrible now anyways because they cost so much more and like the wait times are crazy and sometimes they just cancel on you. And that'll be like a 40, 50 plus dollar Uber, whereas the taxi rate, I think it's like 25 or 30, whatever it is, it's set by law because, taxi drivers are probably scamming hella people. And so that's always your best bet. But at the same token, South Point has a shuttle. It's like Vegas without all the little random extra expenses, The hotel itself
You
is
haven't
cheap.
mentioned your favorite part yet either.
Yeah, and it does happen to have my favorite Vegas hot tub. I mean, there's probably crazier ones, but I'm not getting in those. And this thing's got like a lagoon hot tub, so that's where you're gonna find me and Carrie pretty much every evening. I really can't say enough about like what a chill event this is, and just the amount of classes you can take and how much there is to learn. And we haven't even talked about the expo itself, which is like a huge trade show style thing with like every glass vendor of every type, not just stuff for flame working, for everything and for every type of it and for metalworking and this. It really is like a unique event where like everything in the glass world comes together. It's something really, really cool. And I just want to give you guys just hear the passion. Because I love this event, and it's just an awesome opportunity to come out and learn and take multiple classes in one place, and then have the expo itself with live demos every day. Some of them are going to be flame demos. Some of them are going to be new glass stuff that, we've shared some of them here, like interesting ceramic-based inks and stuff like that you might be able to incorporate into your work. So I just wanted to take a minute to kind of evangelize the Glasscraft and Bead Expo because they've really, over the past couple of years especially, they've been, just making it more and more friendly to like pipe makers and flame workers and bringing in some of these real heavy hitters. Last year Grim was there doing a demo, Soulfire Glass. We actually still have her full demo that we need to share. Anyways, I just wanted to take a second to talk about that Bead Expo because that's what we're going to see tonight. And it's like, yes, as y'all saw, some of the classes are already selling out. But there's still a million things to do and learn, and so man, now is the time to check that out.
And if you want to step outside your zone, and not just do flame working, there are cold working classes, there's stained glass, there's mosaic, there's fusing, there's all sorts of different classes that you can take as well. So it's definitely a great time. It's like a glassy family gathering, where everybody just gets to have fun and learn and hang out by the hot tub.
Right. It genuinely is one of my favorite trips every year to Vegas. And speaking of fusing, Carrie, we showed them last time, but show them again. Show them the succulents, baby. No, seriously, guys, Carrie. Yeah, Carrie's been doing these fused and freezed glass powders into succulents. We've been playing with it in Boro too, and when we have that all hammered out, we're gonna do an episode.
I keep forgetting to grab the one that was in Boro, the amber purple that I gave to Mark to fume, and check this one out. Yeah, there's a 3D printed skull planter too. There's a torch talker who makes these on Etsy, Pen Nerd 3D. Anyway, he had a little skull that I stuck my succulents in. Thought that was pretty cute.
That's the big secret about like goths, they also like pretty things. So yeah, we're getting them both in there all at once. And yeah, so you guys, and I added Carrie's Etsy store to the video description. If you're interested, these things make great gifts. Speaking of great gifts, I'm going to take 2 seconds to shout what I did this year.
Heck yeah.
I made these present packs. You can see some of them sitting in the background there. And this is what it was. There's 25 of them the other day. but they've been moving out the door, and my dogs, it's like they're kind of mystery packs. I mean, I put it in the store that, like, there's iMillie in there, but there's actually 7 things, and I really just want to give people who have invested in us and make this thing. Trust me, they're a labor of love. That's all I'm gonna say, man. They're really cool, and I've put so much time into them and boxing them and wrapping them and all this and that. So, those are in my shop. That's linked in the video description or just at MikeMasonDesign.com. And yeah, like I said, man, I put quite a bit of time into these to make them something special for you guys out there. And I'm getting older, man. I'm like 42 now. And I already raised a kid, and like when you have a child, and Christmas gets a little more special, and maybe I missed that a little bit. So these packs are kind of me doing my best to give all y'all out there, 25 of you, a chance to kind of have that moment of delight, like, what the fuck is all this, kind of thing. So yeah, present packs. There's literally just a few left. So. Yeah, but it would be cool if y'all scoop those up. And oh god, my webcam is going into Parkinson's mode again. Jeez.
I think it doesn't come through on the live. Yeah, I think it doesn't come through on the live.
I think it does, but that's okay. Anyways, okay, a couple of other real quick things as long as I'm talking. I just wanted to shout out a couple of channels on YouTube. Man, it's like easy to just play it cool, but it's better to shout out your homies, man. So I want to shout out Jason Gordon, who has been live quite often lately, is almost every day. And this dude's one of my teachers and just an amazing borosilicate artist. He really is talented. He does furnace work. He makes huge cups at the furnace and all that. And I think he kind of took some time off, and now he's back live like all the time. And you guys should give him a follow, man. He's a cool cat, and he shares just great tips the whole time. Like, if there's a glass blower in there, you can tell he really likes to make it informative for them. And I wanted to shout him out because, like I said, one of my teachers and one of my friends. And
that was a lot of fun, actually. I was down in the studio doing my own thing too, and Mike was at his place, and there were other people at their studios just watching and hanging out. And he's so generous.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, and he really is, man. He's he's also talking about doing, like, on a Fridays, I think, the stream. He's going to like take like instructional requests. So if you guys are interested in X, Y, or Z techniques, just show up and ask him, and I think he's inclined to demo them for you. Cool cat, check that shit out. And then I can't even pretend I know this cat well, but I just got turned on to his channel. I thought it was pretty fucking awesome, so I thought I'd shout it out for you guys. Check out Powerful Jack Glass. He's got some really interesting tutorials, and there's your Swiss perk. He's got recycler drains, rig demos. Like, it just looks like he's doing a good job over here. So I thought I'd shout that out. We need to use our platform to, bring everybody up, not just keep it all within our own little world or whatever. So, all right, I think that's it. I know we've been talking a minute, but I really wanted to talk to you guys about the Bead Expo and kind of explain just what this is, because it's like, wait, what is this? It's a shitload of classes. It's a massive expo. It's live demos. It's the Gallery of Excellence, and it all goes down at just one of the most chill venues in Vegas where everything is reasonable. It's tight. All right, that said, let's visit this. Enough talking about it.
to do a cold working demo on a crystal today. I'm starting with a piece of borosilicate glass with dichro throughout that I flame worked into basically I prepped it into a shape, the shape that I'm looking for. I'm going to do a basic six-sided crystal. Basically it starts round, and then I will work it on the Covington lap wheel. I'm using a 180 grit wheel, and I will basically work 6 sides on this until I get it to the shape of basically a crystal shape, a gem. So as soon as I get this thing plugged in here. Okay, so I take my blank here, and I go ahead and I find, a starting point. Go ahead and start taking it down. Basically, as you can see, I started that first side, and I'll just go directly opposite that side. And I'm using my fingers, basically, my eyes, to kind of balance it out for now, until I can get all 6 sides kind of evenly spaced. I want this to be as symmetrical as possible in the end here. And I basically start with a cut on one side, and I go directly across until I get all 6 sides created and set. And then I'll start working it down a little more. Everything's lining up pretty well. So I've got 6 marks. I don't know if you can see that up there. So there's 6 marks, all spaced fairly evenly. And then now I will just go ahead and, now that things are marked, it's much easier. I can go ahead and keep working them down until all sides match. And I don't want to go too far on one side compared to another. Like I said, I would like this to be fairly symmetrical in the end. And I like to start kind of slow. This is kind of a heavy grit wheel. It's a 180 grit. I usually start with a 360. This is taking a lot of material off very quickly, which is good. So I just keep going until each side matches. Try to do it so that they're evenly spaced. And if I see, one side is getting bigger than the other, then I'll try to avoid that side for a moment until I can get the other side to even out. And then if you notice, so I'm kind of working on one side of it. This whole side here is still uncut. So I will go ahead and flip it around and start working on those sides too. try to mentally keep track of the sides that I've done. I mean, obviously, visually you can see that they've been cut, but in order to kind of get them all equal, I make sure that I give each side equal time on the wheel. And as you can see, the cuts now have gone all the way across the face of the blank from one end to the other. So now we're starting to get each side is becoming more and more defined as we go. And then we'll just keep bringing this down until all sides are touching, and that there's no sections of that each side is flat, almost, you know, that each side is touching, if that makes any sense. If you notice, we've already gotten to a point where these two sides are touching here, but these sides are not. So I'm going to avoid this section here. I'm going to move over to this section here until I can make these sides touch. Which is going very quickly on this wheel. It's coming from the machine, a Merit tool by Covington. It's an amazing machine. I think I'm going to pick one up myself. I was using a different style machine, and I like this one much better. So I'm really kind of going off of feel until I can feel that it's even and that all sides are equal. And that there's no separation between the lines. I'll clean all of that up until that separation is gone. Feel free to ask any questions too if you guys have any. Starting to get the uniformity of all the lines, all the facets are equal. Everything is coming together here. I don't know if that shows up very well. And depending on like the taper that you might want, if you want it to be equal, I like them kind of tapered, kind of bigger on the back, on the top, and kind of coming to a point at the bottom of them. So depending on how much of a taper you want is how much time you spend on each side. Okay, I think we're to a good point here. 1 second. Well, I'm just going to do it on this one. So, okay, now we're going to go for, so we've got all of our 6 sides done here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing the points. Right now they're all rounded. Both sides are rounded. And go ahead and start fastening the ends into the points. And so I just pick a side. I start with, I'm going to keep it in line with the lines that I've already made, the flat facets that I've already made. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to mark each corner before I start really cutting into it. I put it at an angle. Mark set before I really start cutting into it. I want them all marked before I start cutting into them, just so I know that they're spaced evenly. I pretty much count those. I'm counting, in my mind. Obviously, I can see also, but I'm counting so I know which side I'm on. That shows up there. You can see the. See the dots on there that I've marked it. Can you guys see those dots? Like spots here. Just to mark them, just so I know that they're all in line, and then I'm going to start actually cutting in a little deeper and making those end facets too, and make that into a point. And before you know it, those all start coming together the same way as the rest of the crystal did. And I keep going down until I've reached the point. And I try to go in at the same angle on each one. And I don't want to spend too much time on each side. I don't want to spend more time on one side than the other, otherwise, your point is not centered. And it shows when it's done. So just keep going until I'm to a point that I like on each side. starts to show, you start to get that point. You start to get that gem-like point. This wheel, this is a really good machine, and the wheel is a very coarse grit. It's a 180 grit, and it's definitely taking a lot of material off very quickly, which is good. But for the most part, you know, you're not in a rush. When you're pressed for time like this right now, this is good. But at the same time, it's definitely easy to take too much material off too quickly and it getting uneven very quick. So you want to make sure you take your time and use the grip that you're comfortable with. Turn the machine down. You can go really fast. You can go really slow. You know, whatever's comfortable for you. I mean, I started out, I've done mini crystals on just level 1. You know what I mean? This thing's barely spinning at all, and it just takes a long time, but you get them nice and even, and just take your time until you get comfortable with it. Because, you know, you'll be going, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you've taken way too much material off of one side, and you're not getting that material back. So, you know, you can, turn something really nice into something really ugly really quick. And that's no fun. That's no fun. So, I'm gonna go ahead and I like where that sits. It's not exactly where I want it yet, but I've got most of my rough cuts already done here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the tip, the point here. I've got one more rounded side. This one's a little trickier because it's to the narrower point, and it's a little smaller, so it's a little more precise. But it's the same idea, same technique. You start with just marking it, a little bit of a couple dots on each side at the angle that you like. It's literally like a second, 2 seconds, and I've got the cut that I want it to be at. So I know that this is a nice machine for sure. So I do all 6 sides really quick. I mark all 6 sides. So I keep my hand at the same angle so that I'm not getting off center here. And then once I feel comfortable with where my marks are, I'll go ahead and I'll start taking some more material off until each side is even again. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. These lines, some of these lines are very, they're going like diagonal. And that's all because of how I'm holding it. That's all because of the pressure that I'm putting on there. Like I said, this is much trickier. This might be something I would like to use a finer grit on so that I take less material off. Not so fast, take a little less material off at a time, but that's okay. It's all about in the pressure from left to right is how your lines are going to end up. If you notice that your lines are going at a certain angle, you can just twist your wrist and go in the opposite direction. And you'll see that line center out, will center for you. Another thing too, if you like where your point is, if you get to a point where your point is centered where you like it, just avoid going too steep with the point, because then you'll end up losing that center. So you just try to stay away from sticking the point directly onto the wheel. Because then you're just chasing that center until you've got nothing left. And it's like once it gets out of center, it's really kind of hard to get it back. So you're always chasing the center. It's like you're always chasing one side. Kind of like I'm doing now, kind of chasing that center. So, I'm going to go ahead and switch the wheel really quick. Now that I've gotten the majority of the cut made on the crystal, I'm going to kind of refine it with a little bit of a finer grit. This wheel is, this disc is very coarse, which was nice for getting material off quickly. That's a 180 grit. That's a 180 grit. I usually start with a 360. This isn't actually, so this is my 360. So these are a little bit different. This is different than my machine I normally use. These come like fixed with like it looks like a plexiglass plate. So a little slightly different than what I use, but these colored discs are more for polishing. I'm going to see how much material I can take off with these though. Yeah, this is more for polishing, which is cool. We got a majority of the material off, and our shaping is where we want it. This is going to allow for that color to really start, that cloudiness, take the cloudiness away, and bring out the color from your gem that you're working with. as you can see, it starts to polish up the surface, get that cloudiness off, and you can actually see what's in the middle. I just spend about maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds on each side, keep going around so that each side gets equal polish time. Yeah, it probably worked out better that I didn't have the disc I was looking for, because I could sit here for a long time and polish this thing and cut this thing to be, you know, perfect, exactly how I want it to be. Almost, you know, you could take a micrometer and be perfect. And it's really, I mean, depending on, you know, how much time you want to spend on it, is like you can really make a nice, clean cut crystal, polished up and done, you know. I mean, I might even go back and spend a little more time on this later to refine it a little more and make it, you know, perfect. But for now, we got all 6 sides cut. All 6 sides cut, and you can actually see the definition. You can add more facets. I can take these peaks and actually facet these down to be a whole nother set. So it goes from a 6 side basically to a 12 side. You can do different types of, you know, different things with each end. You can do different things. You know, it's all up to you. Use your imagination. And I mean, when you actually get into a machine, you know, a Facetron machine or something like that, you can really do some cool cuts on some of these gems. Need some.
What do you need, man?
I need one of these cups.
Okay.
Can I steal a cup? I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. Something you want to be careful with is overflowing your catch. You want to make sure that you keep your disc wet at all times. Obviously, I'm sure you guys know that. Keep your disc wet. Make sure that you're not kicking up a bunch of dust. Glass dust is not cool to breathe in. So make sure that you keep your disc wet, and something like this, you know, obviously make sure that you're not overflowing your catch. Otherwise you got a mess on your workstation. It's never good. How's that coming in, Mike?
Oh, looks great.
Shout out to our cameraman, Mike Mason. Holding it down on the ones and twos. Was that?
I do. Yeah, that's me.
Not to be confused with Millie Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Mini skirts, leopard skin.
The dude's 6'1" and wears 4 inches.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Man,
Yeah, Monica Sparkles, it goes by, right?
he's the man. Shout out to Monica.
Monica.
Okay, word.
Michael and Monica Benson.
So and then I'll go over each edge on the points as well. Otherwise those are cloudy. I want all those to shine. So you can really start seeing that dichro popping out. You get that kind of cloudiness polished off of the surfaces. And then I would take a Dremel, and I would Dremel. You pick a center wherever you like, and I would Dremel a hole at the top on both sides until it goes all the way through. And you can wear it as a necklace or do a wire wrap. You know, maybe someone knows how to wire wrap really well, and you can do a nice cool wire wrap on that, or whatever you want to do. Now I'll keep polishing this for a second. I may go back through this another time and really refine it to make it look good, because this one turned out pretty well. I like it. It's frustrating when you spend all the time on it and it becomes, you know, out of center, or it's, you know, not equal, or it looks. And I mean, you can do your own thing. You know, you can make them look a little more abstract as well too. You know, I just like them to be centered. You know. I like all the lines to be crisp and clean and even, and but it's not necessary. You can keep it natural. All sorts of different cuts you can make with it. It's nice to be able to do something like this with a machine, you know, a simple hand machine. You can still make some really nice cuts and nice crystals and gems off of just a hand machine like this. You don't have to spend $3 on a Facetron to get nice crystals, even though those are nice as well. Rinse it sometimes in the water. Kind of see where maybe I need to spend some more time. this actually turned out really well. Sometimes I'll even go to a felt pad and use a felt pad with some powder called cerium powder to get a really nice finish on it. But this is turning out to be a good finish on this crystal just with these 2 pads I've used. I'm sorry?
What grit are you using now?
I actually don't know what grit this is. I started with a 180 grit, and I usually step it through 360 grit to 600 grit, 800 grit, 1200 grit, 3000 grit, and then all the way to that felt pad I was telling you about. These colored discs are basically like those felt pads, with different grit already on them, sort of. But they're like matted. It's hard to explain. I'll let you feel this when I'm done here. But they're like soft. They're kind of soft, spongy almost. These aren't really for taking off material. These are for polishing. These metal discs are really what you're going to take the material off with. I'll give you the details on what grit this is exactly, though. I'm borrowing this machine from Covington. They hooked me up with this, and they said, this disc here, the 180, and this disc here is all you're gonna need. And like I said, I usually go through all the steps, and they're right. I've gone through the main cut, and this pad so far, and I'm down to almost a polished, finished crystal here, just about. I might like to go through one more.
It's got to be like a 6 or 12, right?
It's gotta be.
Word, yeah.
It's gotta
that's what I was
be.
thinking.
He did say something about giving me the red pad as well.
Word, okay.
Which I think is a little finer than this to bring it to a little bit of a finer polish.
Yeah, it could be a 600 then.
Maybe.
I mean, if it's still taking material off and giving you a bit of a polish,
Yeah.
it's got,
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be here for 6 hours if you used a 1200 to try and finish that off.
Yeah.
Going straight
Yeah.
from the 180.
Yeah.
Anyways, get out of
Yeah.
your hair, sorry.
No, I think this might need a little bit of a finer polish because even now, as it dries, so it looks good when it's wet. It really pops. But when you dry it off, that's when you can kind of really start seeing the cloudiness. It's still got a little bit of a cloudiness to it, but that's okay. We just keep going through the steps. I'll probably spend some time on this at my booth. I'm at the booth back on kind of the Boro section with, it's at Egg Glass is my name. And I'll probably finish this and polish this and actually put a hole in this back at my booth if anybody cares to come check it out. And I'll have some more details on like these wheels and what I've used here. But what I've learned is that the metal discs is more for taking material off. I've gone through all the metal discs as well and gotten fine polishes too. So don't get me wrong, you can still get a fine polish on those metal wheels. But I'm learning that the metal wheels are more for removing material and the colored discs are more for polishing. So if you're willing to go through each step, you can really get some fine polishing and cutting out of these. But I've got a whole table full of finished crystals. If anybody wants to see like fully finished stuff with multiple facets on them. Not just a 6-sided. This is basically just a basic 6-sided cut. I just wanted to show you guys how to do it, by hand on a wheel, And I mean, a lot of people, this is what people ask me for, a lot of, but I like to maybe go through and actually cut another section on these and really get some more gem-like finishes and, make really nice jewelry out of it. But just a 6-sided cut leaves you with a natural something you almost could dig up out in the desert. You know what I mean? You come across a nice crystal like this in the desert, or not like this, but. Yeah, so, I mean, anyways, you get the idea. You get the idea. I'm gonna probably refine this a little more at my table and get this polished up really nice. But, yeah, if anybody's got any questions on this, like, I would really like to show you how to put the hole in there. A lot of people have a question on how to get the hole through there without cracking the crystal. A lot of people start taking the Dremel and just start dremeling through and end up with a broken piece. And really it's just taking your time. Start with a really small bit. Mark it, make sure you get it centered. Start with a really small bit. I like to go in both sides. I'll actually put a little divot on one side and I'll flip it and put a little divot on the other side and keep eating away at it until they find those two sides meet. And then I can go all the way through, and then I can start making the hole bigger. You know what I mean? If I wanted to do a bigger hole, I can use a different size bit, depending on what size chain I'm using, or rope, or whatever. But to get you started without breaking it, you don't want to just go in with a giant bit, in my opinion. Maybe somebody could show me another way, but from what I've seen, when people start going with a bigger bit, that's when you start taking too much material off at once, and it breaks. Or you get like a big chunk, you know, it starts becoming jagged. So if you want a nice smooth finish, you start small. I go in both sides until both sides kind of meet in the middle, and then I can bore it out, and then I can use like a cone-shaped diamond bit to make it whatever size I want it to be, you know. And then I polish it out a little further from there.
Yo, is that done wet with the Dremel?
It's done wet. Yeah, you want to make sure it's done wet too. So I'll usually just have a little bucket or a cup, and I'll keep dunking it, and I'll Dremel it. And sometimes I'll have my hand in the cup or in the little Tupperware dish,
Okay.
and I'll have just the tip in the water where it's so that I'm not sending glass, you know, out in the air or whatever. Usually I have, you know, it's safe to have glasses on. Safety glasses are always a smart idea, unless you like glass in your eyeball. But for the most part, as long as you're careful and but yeah, so you can actually also take this right now as it is a little bit cloudy and actually flame polish it too. If any of you guys work on the torch, you can actually flame polish this as well and get rid of that quickly. You know, you don't even have to polish it. You can just flame polish it and instantly it pretty much goes clear. But at that time, in my opinion, you can really start to round out those edges, and you can start to round out those edges, and it still has a cool effect. I have a couple that are flame polished back at my station too, you can check out. But I've preferred now, since I've discovered all of these polishing pads, to go through all stages until you get that clarity of the gem with the sharp edges. It really gives it a good effect. You know, makes it look like gem-like quality, you know, something that was made on a machine almost, you know. But, you know, to the average eye, you'd almost look at it and be like, you can't even tell a difference from flame polished to disc polished, you know. But if you look really close, you'll see that those nice sharp edges are kind of rounded out, you know. Still beautiful, but just not quite to the. I like them. I like them fully polished on the wheels, in my opinion. So. Yeah, I think I will do. But you can see now that it's dry, it's almost cloudy again. You know, it just needs to go through all the stages again of polishing in order to get that cloudiness to go away, which ends up kind of looking like this here. So that's what it would look like after it's fully polished. You can actually see the dichro inside. So yeah, it always has a cool look when it's wet. But and yeah, so depending on like the angle that you hold it on your wheel is going to be, give you different angles on the ends of the crystal as well. So just be sure not to like hold it there for too long, depending on what grit you're using. If you hold it there too long, you're going to really wear down one side a lot faster than it should, and it's just going to end up kind of being uneven, and you're going to end up chasing that evenness the whole time. So.
Hell yeah.
Anybody got any questions?
Oh yeah. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
My dog.
Check out Covington right over here at the green table. They've got this awesome rack wheel machine, and I really like it. I like it a lot. It's sturdy. It's not really shaky. It's very sturdy and kind of low profile from what I've seen. I've seen a lot of other machines that sit up a lot higher. I'm not quite a fan of that. I'm used to that. That's what I use. But now that I've discovered this, I think I'm going to go ahead and purchase this off of them. It's really nice. I like it a lot.
Thanks, man. Cool.
Thank you, guys.